kidding. You should lead us, Calder. You're the only one who can.
Please, I can run circles.
Wally, come on. You know he's the one.
Obvious.
Could have told you.
Okay.
Then I accept the burden until you are ready to lift it from my shoulders.
Recently, I rewatched season 1 of Young Justice, and while the rest of the show holds up, I really do think that season 1 is the best season, with maybe season 4 being a close runner-up. One of the reasons why this season stood out to me was because of how much more I enjoyed watching Aqualad. When I first watched the show many years ago, it was Robin and Kid Flash that stood out to me the most, but upon watching it again, the only character I seemed to be able to relate to was Aqualad. His demeanor, temperament, and style of leadership stood out to me the most. I mean, in order to be the leader of a group of superpowered teenagers, one must definitely be as cool as the ocean, but also as fluid as the tide. Welcome to the library, a digital syllabus for champions. Today we will be analyzing why Aqualad is the perfect leader. While all the other members of the team specialize in a specific skill or ability, something I found interesting is that Aqualad isn't the best in the team at anything. Superboy is the strongest in the team by far, Robin the most experienced, Artemis is the best with weapons, Kid Flash is the smartest and the fastest, and Miss Martian is by far the most powerful. And yet they all follow Calder with no hesitation. Calder is Aqualad's real name, by the way. Part of the reason why is that Calder understands that being the leader is a burden and not a privilege. See, most people think that leadership is about power or brute strength. It's about being in charge and punishing anyone on your team that dares to threaten you. While that form of leadership can work in certain environments, it's extremely primitive and honestly, kind of stupid. Eventually, someone stronger will come along and take the leadership title from you. People like this see leadership as a desired position and think that it's all about being at the top and having everyone below you serve you. But a true leader understands that they are in charge so that they can serve those who follow them and not the other way around. Leadership is not an act of power or strength, but one of selflessness and empathy. When Aqualad became leader of the team, his exact words were, "I accept the burden." He understood that from that point on, he is responsible for the team on every mission. When the mission goes well, everyone gets the credit, but when it goes wrong, the blame for that failure falls on his shoulders and his shoulders alone. A leader must always be calm and clear. He is not allowed to have bad days or succumb to any emotional stress, no matter how strong. He is not allowed to also have needs and desires. He can't have moments where he's just not feeling it or is vulnerable to his vices. He is responsible for those who follow him, and thus he must always put their needs, wants, and desires ahead of his own. Calder is so good at this that it almost becomes a bit of a bad habit of his. He is constantly thinking of others before himself and is always carrying the burden of being the calm and responsible person in the group. He has grasped the true essence of leadership, and that is why he does not need brute force to lead his team. Once you truly understand this, you'll understand that being the leader is not something you want to be. As I said before, Aqualad is not the best at anything within the team. Despite this, he has a very deep understanding of his team's strengths and weaknesses. He also understands their personalities very well. Because of this deep understanding, Calder is able to give orders that allow each member of the team to do what they're best at. He's like the coach of a sports team that understands what each of his players do well and what they do badly, so he knows which instructions to give each player. But because he also understands them as people, he knows how to give them instructions. It's important as a leader that you understand those that follow you, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and how you should communicate with them. This is crucial if you want to get the best out of your team. If you lead by always being aggressive or assertive, that may work for some people, but others may shrink up and panic when you talk like that. You also run the risk of hurting people's pride, which will breed resentment towards you. However, being overly friendly could also be a problem, since you won't be able to get your team focused and serious when it is required. Calder knows when to be assertive and when he can relax. Because he studies each member of his team very closely, he acts as a big brother of sorts for them. They know that they can confide in him. Examples of Calder's empathy can be seen multiple times throughout the show. He knew McGann and Connor had feelings for each other long before they became a couple.
You know they're a couple, right?
I believe I knew before they did.
He trusted Wally to take charge and lead them against Red Volcano, since Wally is the most intelligent.
He's activating a stage 2 eruption. It gets to stage 3, kiss the hemisphere goodbye.
Hit him from all sides.
We're on the verge of a stage 3 supervolcano eruption. There's no turning back from that. We need to vent pressure fast. Triangulate around the pressure locus.
He even understood that Robin was meant to be the true leader of the team, but was too young.
You were born to lead this team. Maybe not now, but soon.
Honestly, man, sometimes Calder understands the people on his team better than they do. When the team failed the mission and Calder wanted to resign as team leader, he was asked who should replace him as leader. Just look at how well he understands his teammates.
Artemis is too raw and untrusting. Kid Flash too rash and impulsive. Miss Martian remains too eager to please. Superboy carries too much anger.
Now look at how he responds when he realizes Robin could be the leader.
Making Robin the logical choice.
But he is so young. I cannot shift this burden to him. It appears I must withdraw my resignation.
The fact that Calder knew Robin would make a great leader, but refused to let Robin become the leader because he was too young, speaks volumes about how much he cares about his teammates and their well-being. Calder grew up in Atlantis, but was abandoned by his father, who was a villain, and raised by his foster parents. His foster father was almost never around, and his foster mother was depressed when he was growing up, so he wasn't looked after very well. Despite this, he worked odd jobs, went to sorcery school, and eventually became protege to Aquaman. But then, the girl he loved chose to be with his best friend.
Please, Tula, I have made a decision. To stay in Atlantis. With you. Because of you.
Mind you, they started dating within a few months that Calder left Atlantis, so his best friend basically stole his dream girl.
I'm sorry. We wanted to tell you sooner, but Garth and I, we are together.
Despite all of this, Calder remains the ultimate professional. He has feelings, of course. He himself admitted that when his best friend stole his girl, it broke his heart.
Tell me who broke your heart.
Tula. The girl I loved chose my best friend Garth over me.
And it could not have been easy being raised by a mother who was too depressed to care for him, and a father that was never around, and was a criminal. Despite all of this, Calder always put his personal feelings aside, and focuses on helping others. A wise king has to be able to let go of the past, and look to the future. That is what Calder has done time and time again. He could have easily let his pain consume him, and sought after petty things like revenge or power. But he didn't. Instead, he used his emotions to turn him into one of the greatest leaders in the entire DC animated universe.
Calder, that is...
I wish you both nothing but the best.
If you like this video and would like to see more, please subscribe.
Have you ever wondered what would have happened if I had stayed behind and you had become Aqualad?
Never.
No, neither have I.